Ted Godwin needs no introduction, I don't think, but he has very graciously agreed to give us a tour of his show. And I don't know if you want me to push you, Ted, or if you want to roll yourself.
Well, you pushed me into the talk.
I did push you into the talk.
Pushed me around the goddamn room as well. That'd be very nice. I'd appreciate that, Ed. Okay. But listen,
I'll push her.
all right, we got to push her.
Hey, we got to push her.
We got to push her.
Excellent.
What drugs are you carrying? Now listen, I had a question before I started, and it was a very good question. It said, how come some of the paintings are signed and some of the paintings aren't signed? Well, I want you to know that a very great Japanese ceramic artist, probably the greatest Japan has ever known, is Hamada. And he never signs a work. And he was asked why. And he said, it's very simple. In history, others' good pots will be ascribed to me, and my bad pots ascribed to them. So never. I didn't. You can see in the history of the works where I read that quote and stopped signing my works. But you know what? I think that every brushstroke is a signature. And once you see my work, I don't think you'll have any trouble noting it anywhere. Now, let's start. Anyways, let's begin. Let us begin in the middle. In the middle, in 1964, Pearson, our Prime Minister, was showing his new flag in Ottawa, flying it between the hours of 1 and 2 and 5 and 6. And I was in Regina, and I was doing a bit of drinking in those days. And we got on the topic of the new flag in the beer parlor, and I said, what a load of crap. I mean, here we are dealing with the 13th century, and it's the 20th century. If they had any smarts, it would be a neon flag. After all, and I was quite prescient. I said, look, you could have a small flag on every mantelpiece of every home in Canada, and it can, the red maple leaf can flash fast in times of war and slow in times of peace, and the 10 provinces can circle around the maple leaf. And at that time we had the floods in Manitoba. I said we could have red for a disaster in Manitoba. We could have gold for the Timmins oil gold strike in Ontario, and as long as Joey Smallwood's Premier of Newfoundland, we could have a British flag on the end of it. And I said, and my flag. And while we're at it, why don't we acknowledge that we're between two furious oceans, and so we'll have blue on either side. Well, and furthermore, if I did a flag, it could fly 24 hours a day, not just in daylight hours. And so they said, well, you're in the neon business. Why don't you make the darn thing? I said, maybe I will. And so I made a flag. Now this is the upscale version of it. The original was much ruder, but the other version was I put on my porch in 2322 Retallick Street in Regina, and I flew it from the hours of 9 and midnight, and sometimes longer, depending upon how much booze there was left in the bottle. And I get my neighbors phoning, "Would you please turn the sign off? We can't get in our driveway." So I had people from all over southern Saskatchewan driving in to see the Kooks neon sign, and it made Time magazine. So it was a lot of fun. Interestingly enough, they did a big pop art show, and they didn't include this. This is one of the best, I think, you know.
Yep.
Anyways, that's why I put it in the show. Let's go to the beginning. They're almost like dancing chickens, aren't they? And it's not sure whether it defines itself as a drawing or as a painting, and it's done with automotive enamels. I would do these neon signs, and make sure that whatever color I needed at home, I put on the sign, and so the leftovers I could take home. Self-serving, but you know, play is the work of the artist, and I played a lot. Anyway, the next painting is really interesting because when it originally surfaced, I thought this painting was from 1964. And it was a great surprise to me to find that the painting was as early as it is. And its title is As If Under, which has the notion of walking in the Elbow River and through the pebbles and the small fish, and seeing the gravel underneath. So that's what that's all about. Let's go on to the next one. Let's move pretty rapid here. Then here's one of the big automotive ones. This whole corner. Here, give me the corner there, Ann. Turn me around. At this point, I still hadn't left the figure, so there's a lot of boobs and bellies and bums and anatomical references, and in this one as well. Now, Color Rain is interesting because in Color Rain, this work here, it's interesting because it's got my signature. And it's interesting because it fulfills a tenet of a painting that I've always liked. I like the bones of a painting to show through. And so in this painting, you can see where the paint has been splashed on, and it dribbles down. And it also